Misfit. A misfit is defined as somebody who is unable to adapt or adjust to their environment. I find it shocking today how the world has grown so used to today's society. A world that is based on suicide rates rising, teenage pregnancies, and even homosexuality. Not just in teenagers, but even adults have taken all these issues as something that is even expected. It is not expected and it should not be natural. These issues should be addressed and should be addressed by us as misfits of the greatest misfit of all, Jesus Christ. This is not comfortable to me. As I am a misfit, I am not comfortable with what is surrounding me. The suicide rates rising, the teenage pregnancies. How can we continue to just stand here and let people die? We must rise together as a misfit to stand up for the world, not those that stand against them. These people are the ones that need Christ the most. We need to stand up and be the misfits as the greatest misfit of all, Jesus Christ. You see, Jesus wasn't comfortable with what surrounded him. He was not comfortable with the blind not seeing, with the paralyzed not walking. Jesus reached out to those nobody else would because he walked in love. We too must walk in that same love, because without the love there is nothing. Without the word there is nothing for us to stand on. Our God is our word, our foundation, and our rock. We must reach the unreachable, love the unlovable, but most of all, we must reach the unwanted. We must stop being comfortable with where we're at, with what is surrounding us. I'd like to tell you a story about a young boy I once knew. His name was Jake. I would always see Jake walking around in my grandmother's old neighborhood. One day I addressed him and asked him, "Jake, do you not have any friends?" Jake looked at me and said, "No, I don't. Nobody cares about me. Nobody cares about what I do. My mother doesn't even care about me. I don't even think she thinks I exist." One day it hit me hard as he and I were conversating once again. And with tears filling in his eyes, he told me, "Malik, I tried killing myself last night." I looked at him and said, what caused you to do that? What caused you to even think that in your mind, that it was going to hurt you that much to take your own life? And I ask you today, how many more kids like Jake are going to end up killing themselves? How many more kids like Jake are going to end up being in broken homes before we act? The next kid that could die could be your brother, your sister. The next person that overdoses could be your mother, your father. Well, then would it be enough for us to act? Jake was only 12 years old. And I think about today's society, how many 12-year-olds are dying, how many 12-year-olds are alone, and we have yet to reach them because we're so focused on ourselves, our own selfish beings. I ask you today, how many more people are going to die before we're misfits, instead of people that are just fitting into the crowd? We need to stand out. We need to stand out as the misfits of Jesus Christ. We could reach so many if we were just unashamed. As it says in Romans 1:16, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God that brings them their salvation." But that is the problem. So many of us have stopped believing. We've lost our faith, we've lost our hope, and for what? So many more people could walk around the world not knowing who Christ is. It takes one simple phrase, "Do you know Jesus?" But yet none of us have even stopped to look at these people and say, "Do they need prayer?" How many more times are we going to walk somebody by on the street and not even think to pray for them? Not even think, man, they're going through something. But so many of us have also forgotten where we came from and what Christ has taken us out of. It's not over though. It can never be over. This battle continues today as it was 2,000 years ago when Jesus was a misfit. Jesus gave his life for us. He gave his life for us when we were not existing yet. When we were yet sinners, he gave his life for us and shed his blood on that cross. And it says in Deuteronomy 8:18, that remember it is your God that provides for you because he is still faithful in the covenant that he made with your ancestors many years ago. We must stand on his word because without him we are nothing. We are nothing without Christ. So I stand here today and I ask you, will you continue to let this go on happening? When all it takes is just to ask somebody, do you need prayer? Do you know Jesus? Salvation is the key to our Savior. We must have faith, we must have hope, and stop standing so firm on what we believe and stand firm on what God has showed us. What will happen before someone else loses their lives, before we act, before the next person overdoses, before the next person kills themselves? Who else will go to homosexuality? How much more faith are we going to lose before we realize enough is enough? I don't know about you, but it hurts me today to see so many people that are hurting and dying. We must stand up and we must rise together as one. We are the Christians, we are the misfits. So I ask you today with one final question. Will you be a misfit or just someone who fits in?